So welcome for this summer day that we have outside. And I've been noticing in my mind, how scattered I am. I find myself like always wanting to be outside. Like I try to come in, I try to do my work, and the air inside the house feels so empty and just so incredibly, hi Paula, so incredibly dead to me. I can't say it in any other way. It just feels heavy to me. And I go outside and it's just so light. And I think to myself, oh, is this the time of COVID? And am I more scattered than normal? And then I realized I'm always scattered in spring. I'm always conflicted with being outside and being inside. So kind of watch some of your own behavior. You think that, oh, it must be COVID or it must be this particular time, but there are patterns that end up happening throughout the year at any given period of time. It really is just knowing yourself well. So I always come back to, especially right now, awareness and discernment. We have this holiday weekend, this long weekend that we are embarking on, and I'm already noticing that people are beginning to release some of the restraints that are going on. And you have to always be comfortable with yourself. You've got to be comfortable with what feels right to you, and that's awareness and that's discernment, knowing how far you will go, what your boundaries are. Also recognizing that our normal instinct is to just be outside because we've been cooped up. Not only for this, but normally we're just cooped up for winter, and we just really want to explode out with the flowers and everything else just kind of exploding. So just be aware and be gentle with yourself. Just always bring yourself back to, do I feel comfortable with this? Am I aware? Do I need to just kind of forget about being inside and just melting with what's outside, because that's where your heart is really asking for? So again, awareness and discernment. Index finger and thumb together in Chi Mudra. Let's just move into our inner landscape. It's always about moving from the inside out. Don't get from the rest of the world. From the outside world is a mirror of what's on the inside. So we want to work on the inside and then just reflect. Let that reflect your outside world. So if you stay steady, find that inner landscape, bring your breath down into the belly. And just let your breath stay in the belly. So we begin to ground our energy into the earth and into this spring-summer day that we have ahead of us. And just allow the magic of spring to be part of what it is that we are going to be doing today. Let the sun in. Feel the deepness of the shadows now that the leaves are out. The blossoming of colors everywhere, smells of lilacs. Find the earth in your legs and in your sits bones, in your pelvis, with letting the breath ground you a little more. And when you feel grounded, then from that place, elongate up through the spine. So go to the very top of your head. 7th chakra reaches up for the blue sky and the sun. And just let your heart center open. Connect to what is familiar to you and what is your spring. Don't let anything take your spring or what you need from this spring away from you. Now bring your breath into the belly, then let it rise all the way up to the lungs, and from there, all the way up to the base of the neck. And you want to really feel the power of the breath, of the prana, and life-giving nourishment. All the way up to the top. Let there be a pause at the very top of the inhale, just a space, a little break in the action so that you consciously bring the exhale out from the throat, down into the lungs, and then again into the belly. And now with this next deep inhale, starting with the belly, just begin to feel the muscles that are connected to the respiratory system that are allowing you to inhale this deep breath. You begin to feel the diaphragm underneath by the rib cage going down. And then as you exhale out, the diaphragm lifts up to get the air out of the lungs. And again, just creating that pause at the very top of the inhale. When we create this breath, this interrupted breath, begin to reset things in our body and in our mind. All good things. Begin to move deeper into the present moment. And then with your next exhale, whenever that happens for you, allow the chin to come down to the chest as you breathe into the opening of the neck and the upper part of the back. Just notice if there's any tension there. And you can just relax some of that tension with the breath. With just letting your mind soften into the breath. Soften into the inhale and exhale. And then release your hands from your thighs and bring them to the floor on either side of your hips. And on the inhale, lift the arms and lift the gaze in the seated sun breath. We turn the palms and exhale with your fingertips down and chin to the chest. And then the palms roll upward again, arms and gaze all the way up as we align with the energy of the spring. Turn the palms and exhale, fingertips down, chin to the chest. 2 more times, palms roll all the way up and just feel like you're gathering the energy of the spring into your hands, and then turn your palms and then sprinkle that out into your auric field, your prana body. And then 1 more time, arms reach all the way up. Hands are going to go to prayer over your head. Then bring your hands to your heart center in Anjali Mudra. And I would ask you to just set an intention for this class, whatever that might be. We're coming into Memorial Day weekend, certainly honoring those that have passed, that have given their lives to this country, to creating a better world, to creating strong allies, and also giving a breath to those that might need it in the hospitals today. Whatever your personal intention is. To that end, let's open up our eyes and release our hands. Let's start in a standing pose, Tadasana, mountain pose. Going to do a few sighs. Let your feet be mat width apart, feet parallel to one another, and want you to feel the 4 corners of the feet as you rotate your hips all the way in one direction. Be conscious of your feet and the grounding of your feet, because all of this has to do with grounding into the earth and then expanding out. And then reverse the direction, just like a tree. Our spiritual life is just like a tree. It grounds into the earth with the roots and then creates the top. So you really want to feel your feet connected, four corners of the feet. One more time in one direction. Yeah, a first direction and then the other. Just releasing. Then keep your feet where they are. Just bend your knees. Take the top of the thighs back. So you just want to open up your lower back. Bend your knees. Take the top of the thighs back. Hands onto the floor. Let your head drop towards the floor. And just let your knees bend and straighten. Just a little stretch. Doesn't have to go far. It's a little teeny stretch. Breathing into the lower part of your back. And then inhaling halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale and fold. And let your arms go out to the side as we inhale all the way back up to a standing Tadasana. And then bring your hands to prayer position at your heart center. Arms release. Arms go all the way up. Exhale and fold. This time your feet are together. Shins forward, thighs back, head down towards the floor, arms swing out to the side as we inhale all the way up, allowing for this wonderful spring to come into the practice. Exhale, down towards the earth, arms swing, inhale all the way up. This time I'm going to exhale and fold, let the right foot go forward and the left foot back into the runner stretch. Hands are on either side of your feet. So you're going to lift the left foot up and press the left heel back behind you and breathe into the lower part of your back. Just take a nice deep breath. Bend into the right knee so it tracks over the ankle. Head up, gaze up. Don't go down to the earth. Let your heart spring up. Let your mind open to what is. Then press your left foot up to meet the right and the right foot back into the runner stretch. Right heel lifts up and then presses back to the wall behind you so your leg and your muscles are engaged. Bend into your left knee. Track it over your ankle. Gaze up, heart up. Look at the monitor, look at the world. Here we go, there. Breathing in, nice deep breath. Press your right foot up to meet the left. Head down towards the floor. Arms swing out to the side as we inhale all the way up. We're going to exhale and fold again. Shin forward, thighs back. This time we're going to bring the right foot back. Bring the right knee onto the floor. More than a 90-degree angle. This is 90, right over. You're on your kneecap. You're pressing back. Let your toes settle back. Curl your toes under so that you can have this hugging into the midline. And take a nice deep breath, hands on the top of the left knee. Take a nice deep breath as you exhale forward and inhale up. Exhale forward, low Anjaneyasana, inhale up. Exhale forward. Inhale up, and your quad may be really tight, especially if you've been doing a lot of walking. Just notice how much your quads are tightening with the walking. So exhale forward. Tight quad means tight lower back. Exhale forward. Inhale up, and last time, exhale forward. Hands on either side of your foot. Come back into a runner stretch with a nice deep breath. Let the right hand be onto the floor, left hand onto your hip. Don't bring your arm up. Just keep it on your hip, but move the left head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back and rotate. With a nice deep breath. Then release, come all the way back. Keep your right knee onto the floor, come all the way back. We're going to connect belly and skull loop. Work a little bit with the shoulders. So bring your hands up to your head. Here we are, low Anjaneyasana, hand up. Now keep your elbows closer to your head. Move the head of the arm bone. Now for some, it may may not move a lot, but if you can see that top of the head of the arm bone up and back, what we're going to do is press your head into your hand, hand into your head, and lift through your heart. The nice deep breath. Now when you find that, then bring your hips forward slightly. So it's a very deep stretch, upper part of the back, and then release and come all the way back and just release your hands. Come back into a kneeling pose and just move the head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back, and then from the back to the front. Good. And so now we're going to move with the right foot going forward, left foot back low on Anusara, hand on the right knee. You're going to inhale up. So we're just going to release the quad, just stretch the quad. And again, you always want to listen, the awareness of pressing your top of your thigh into the hip bone itself. You don't want to do that. Feels a little, in my body, it feels a little strained. Like I feel as if it's pushing too far. So you back off a little bit and just take your hips forward to get this stretch, but not overstretching the hip itself. Exhale forward, inhale up. Good. Exhale forward, inhale up, and last time, exhale forward. From here, both hands onto the floor, curl the toes under, come into the runner stretch. Take your left hand onto the floor, right hand onto the hip. So you want to stack your shoulders one on top of the other. Move the right head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. Don't have the right hand lift up. It's more important to get the shoulder in the right place. Press your heel back behind you. You're still in the twist. Breathing in, nice deep breath. Good, then release. Come all the way back down. Left knee onto the floor. Lift all the way back up. Now I find in my body, again, no two sides are the same. As I bring my hand to my head, move the head of the arm bone up and back. So this action, we can do it out here, but what ends up happening is we're putting a lot of pressure on our shoulders. So I want the shoulders, we're in spring, let's open up a part of our body we know is tight. The shoulders are tight on everyone. Head of the arm bone up and back. If you press your head into your hand into your head, just notice how that action, without going anywhere, engages your belly. So having a strong head, neck connection, pressing in, so you want your skull loop to be engaged. This is how to get to there. Then take the whole thing forward. The heart lifts, keeping that connection where the tips of the shoulder blades are coming into your back and you're lifting all the way up. That's half the back bend is right there. Breathing in. Nice deep rest. Just notice if there is a tweaky part of your body, you can bring your elbows in or back a little further to get rid of that, and then release and come all the way back. It's a much more difficult way to do the pose, but in the end, if you make this head and belly connection, it works for everything. It takes a while to feel it. Let's come all the way onto the floor. I'm going to come into the Sphinx pose. Oops, where am I? Here I go. I think I just bumped into the altar. All right, hands onto the floor, head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. All 10 toes onto the floor, both flat feet, all 10 toes on the floor. Make sure you relax. Let your torso go down towards the earth. Find a place where you can relax and move the head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. And when you feel like you've had that little bit of an opening through the front of your chest, then lift up into Sphinx. Nice deep breath. What we don't want to do is continue to collapse our front body. I'm going to move body to the back body. Make the tips of the shoulder blade do a lot more work, so it's off of our shoulders. Breathing in, a nice deep breath into Sphinx. Do you want to go a little further and you feel like you can stretch your toes behind you, keep the curl in the upper part of the back, put your hands onto the floor, fingerprints down, back of the palm knuckles, and lift all the way up. Breathing in to a nice deep breath. Good, and then release and come all the way back down. So come into a child's pose, knees out, toes together, roll back into the extended child, and hands reach in front of you. Tips of your sits bones towards your heels, pressing in and breathing. Now as you get this kind of a stretch, your belly begins to move down towards the earth. You want to bring the belly up towards the spine a little bit and just stretch. Take a nice deep breath. Good. To add a little bit more of an opening here, you're going to bend at your elbows, bring your hands to prayer over your head so that you're stretching, bringing the hands so that your head is underneath. You're going to find the right place. Your elbows may be able to move away from your hips. Breathing in, and your hands might be able to go a little bit closer to your heels and your hips. And again, just breathe your belly up towards the spine. The nice deep breath, the big stretch, and then release and come all the way back. Breathing in, a nice deep breath. Good. Are we doing okay? Just sit for a moment and just kind of take a breather to find your awareness. Just feel just even that much of a practice, how that changes your energy, how that changes your awareness, how that might change your breath. Go back to the three-part yogic breath, just feeling that inner connection, the inner landscape, and the way that the prana moves through your body. Good. And then coming back, let's put our hands onto the floor, come into the table pose, and from here, curl your toes under. Press back, hips to heel, bowing Vajrasana, one of my favorite poses. Fingerprints down, palm knuckles down. And the palm knuckles are more weighty than the fingerprints themselves. But those are your contact points on your hand. Fingerprints, palm knuckles, creating muscle energy through your arm. Press into the toes and inhale without coming forward into a downward dog. And just walk the dog, one heel up and one heel down. The head of the arm bone goes up towards your ear and back, and your hips journey back to the wall behind you. From here, you're going to lift your right leg up. You're going to stack your right hips one on top of the other. Stack your hips, spread your toes, bend your knee, come into a full dancing dog. Breathing in. Then release back to a three-legged dog, toes down towards the earth, foot onto the floor, and your left foot lifts. Good. Come into the dancing dog. Right shoulder wants to collapse. Lift it up. Keep the twist in your torso. So you have a little tug of war going here. And then bend your knee like it's wrapping a tree. Breathing in, full dancing dog. And then release and come all the way back and walk your feet in, walk your hands in, or bend your knees and hop forward into Uttanasana. Head down towards the floor, bend your knees generously, arms swing out to the side as we inhale all the way up, hands go to prayer over your head, and then down to the heart. Okay, back to center. Right foot forward, left foot back, Parvottanasana. I want you to clasp your hands behind you. Move the head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. So we're really looking at letting the head of the arm bone open your chest. Without the rib cage going in, you want to keep that bottom tips of the rib cage in, but lifting up through the spine. And the right hip goes back, left hip forward as you bend forward. Now from here, once you find your forward bend, you might be able to lift your arms up. But your shoulders need to move faster than the forward fold. Head of the arm bone up and back. You want to stay connected. Bring your awareness to that. The shoulders move faster back than going forward. Good. And then inhale and come all the way back up again. I'm watching you. Good. Nice deep breath. Come back to center and just let your hips rotate all the way around. That's a deep stretch. And then the opposite direction. Good. And then coming back, we're going to have the left foot forward, right foot back. What do I mean about the head of the arm bone moving faster? I have a position here, and it's pretty good when you are lifted up and you're here. You can hold that. The minute you start making a turn in a different direction, meaning forward fold, your shoulders want to do something else. They want to curl in. So I have to keep the head of the arm bone moving up and back as I am coming forward. So it's not a one and done business. You gotta listen to the body, see what the body is doing. The tendency is to have the tips of the shoulder blade onto the back, but the head of the arm bone's rolling down. And you want to stop that from happening. Keep the connection with the tips of the shoulder blade into your back, head of the arm bone up and back, and then inhale and come all the way back up. And that's a practice. That takes a while. Coming forward, our legs are wide, Pasarada Padottanasana. Same thing here. Head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. Clasp your hands. And just begin to notice. So this is a little bit of a different, because it's not as much of a balance as Parvottanasana, but the same thing happens. As you come forward, the head of the arm bone wants to roll down. And you need to keep it up. This is where belly and head is actually a good thing. And then moving the head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back, coming to your full expression of Pasarada Padottanasana, forward fold. Arms, legs are wide, 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 wide. Good, then inhale and come all the way back up. Good. So we're going to do this a little differently, still trying to get that connection. It's all about, for me in yoga, it's all about connecting the centers so that we can begin to feel the front body and the back body working together. Come to with your hands onto your head. Let your elbows be in a little bit, just like we did with Anjali Asana. Move the head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. Now, keep your head moving into your hand moving into your head as you come halfway down. So you're coming to a flat back in Pasarada Padottanasana. Feet are parallel to one another. Engage the belly. You can really feel the belly and the head working here. Bend your knees slightly. Take the top of the thighs back. Inhale and come all the way back up. Good. And shake that out. Woo! All right, let's do a downward dog as a counter to that. Could you feel the belly and the top of the head working? Could you give me a thumbs up or anything? Can you feel any of that? Thumbs up? Okay, good. All right, because that connection is really powerful. That helps you in a lot of things. Come into downward dog, into table pose. Fingerprints down, back of the palm, knuckles down. Curl the toes under. Come into the bowing Vajrasana first. Let's loosen up keep the shoulders nice and loose. Press into the toes, lift all the way up into downward dog. With a nice deep breath. Let's walk the dog, let the dog feel good. It could be a nice spring dog. Good. Don't let your back round. Let your heart settle, but really keep strength in the upper part of the arms lifting up. Good. And then release and come all the way back into a standing pose by walking your feet in, walking your hands in, or pressing into the feet and jumping forward. Either way, we're going to find ourselves in Uttanasana. Make sure the hips are over your knees and ankle and not going back somewhere. You'll feel too much of a stretch in the back of your legs. Come forward, bend your knees, press into the feet, arms reach all the way up. Hands got to pray over your head, and then down to the heart. All right. So a little bit of a stretch through the hips in the standing 4 pose. Feet parallel to one another. First of all, find your Tadasana. Find mountain pose. Close your eyes. I love mountain pose, especially at this time of the year when I think about the mountains beginning to shed the snow and the running of the water, the trees opening and lifting, the life on the mountains itself, the way that it connects to the sky is strongly earth. So find that within yourself. Breathing in at mountain pose. And then opening up your eyes and just carrying that with you. You're going to come onto your left leg, lifting your right leg up into a standing 4 pose or a standing pigeon. Again, you want to hug into the midline, connect ankle to knee, knee to ankle, and take the top of the thigh back. This is a good time to connect head and belly. You bend down, arms reach, nice deep breath. Gonna wiggle and wobble, you're gonna find your way back to center. That's part of the practice. When you feel complete, release and come all the way back and shake that out. Whew. It's always a strong pose. I'm gonna come off of my mat here. So we're gonna come onto the right leg, lift the left leg. Find Tadasana on yourself first. And the more you move into what these poses mean coming into Tadasana, you'll get into it a little bit faster. Bring the left up. Bend at the hips. Take the hips back. And the more you press the hips back, the more you can stretch your fingers forward to a standing 4 pose. Nice deep breath. Then release and come all the way back and shake that out. One more balance pose. Taking a nice deep breath, heron. Shift again over to the left. And when you shift, you're not shifting your hips, right? That's not staying into your center, into your midline. Front and back together and hugging into this midline. You want to stay strong in your leg. Lift the right leg up. Point your toes this time. Hands go up. Curl your fingers away from one another. And then fingers down towards the earth. Inherent. Breathing in. I see a lot of snowy egrets on my walks these days. And then release and come all the way back. Shake it out. Good. Find Tadasana again, mountain pose. Breathing that in. Feeling the way that you are connected to the earth and to the sky. Shift over to the right. Lift your left leg up. Arms reach up. Turn your fingers away. Fingers down. And breathe. Good. Toes, left toes down towards the earth. And release and come all the way back and shake that out. Good. We're going to do a twist in Pasarda. Let your feet go wider than mat width apart. Find your edge of where this is. Find your edge of Pasarda. You want to lift up through the spine. So from your perineum up to the top of the head, you're lifting. From your hips down to the earth, you're feeling your feet onto the floor. And just see whether this is the edge for you. Bend into one knee and then the other. Kind of explore whether you've got the right kind of a stretch. For those that are really very flexible, you need your challenge is to bring it in and bring more energy, more muscle energy into your legs. For those that are still stretching, you've got a lot of muscle energy in your legs. You want to begin to release that. So somewhere in between, good. Come back to stillness. I'm not going to assume that you have a block, but if you have blocks, you can bring a block to the floor. And I will show it with the block. I'm going to encourage all of you to get blocks because you're going to have to bring your own blocks and ties to the to whatever yoga class we're going to have. No more sharing. That's done. So bring the block in between. You're going to come forward again. Let's come forward again with the hand and the belly. Moving the head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. You don't want your arms out here. You want them closer to here. The connection is back of the head and belly. Shins forward, thighs back. You're going to bring your hand onto the block. Left hand onto the block. Right hand onto your hip. And again, we're not lifting. I'm more interested in you moving the right head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. And let that twist you. Let that open your heart up. Take the left top of the thigh back. Rotate and breathe. So it's not just getting somewhere, it's working the pose. Breathing in, don't stay static. Let your breath move to the parts that are opening. Letting the prana just move through your body. Release, come all the way back to center. Let's release your head down towards the floor. Taking a nice deep breath. Again, just checking that your feet, your four corners of the feet are solid onto the floor. Inhale, halfway up again. Right hand is on the block, left hand is on your hip. You're going to move the left head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back, and then follow that movement. Let your heart just follow that movement. Take the right thigh back. So you're working one solid part to open another part of your body. So something stays stable and steady, another part opens, everything gets breath. Your foot gets the breath, top of the thigh gets the breath. Rotate the torso and breathe in. Good. Then release and come all the way back down. Once again, releasing, head down towards the floor. Taking a few deep breaths here. And then come back halfway. Go use your block, hands onto the block, but I want you to begin to shift your belly up towards your spine, press into your feet, hands onto your head, and then inhale and come all the way back up. Good. Alrighty then, and shake that out. So if you have your block, we're going to use the block in Ustrasana. So you're going to bring your block, and if you don't have your block, don't worry about it. But if you do, you're going to put your block sideways this way between your legs. And you're going to hug your ankles into the block, curl your toes under. Now Ustrasana, we can do Ustrasana for the rest of our life and find something about Ustrasana. You're going to take the head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. So open your front body first. We're just going to take it a piece at a time. So that's how you learn to listen to your body. And now you're going to release the top of the thighs back. So this is really pressing it out. Release it. I'm saying open the lower part of your back first. Then coming back, head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. Open your chest a little more. Take the tips of the shoulder blades in. Now bring your hands to your heads. Keep all of that in. Hands to your head. Now press your head into your hands, hands into your head. And now take your heart up towards the ceiling. We haven't gone to the full part of this pose yet. You might be able to sit a little bit so your head is going towards the floor a little bit, tipping the tips of the shoulder blade into the heart. Now let the hips open and we have a full Ustrasana. You can release your hands, maybe find your hands to your feet and let you have all of that in place. Breathing in. And then open, let your head lift first, then take your torso all the way up. All right, it's very deep. Nice deep breath. Could you feel the difference of taking it one step at a time? Okay, we're just going to do it one more time, because one more time is the charm. Head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back, tips of the shoulder blade in. I want you to feel your head instead of putting your hand up there. And then let your heart lift up towards the ceiling. That's half the back bend is right there. Release the top of the thigh. And it's interesting that by releasing that, you can go deeper into the upper part of your back. So just notice that. And then let your head go down towards the floor. Then bring your hips forward, maybe adding your hands to your heels. Ustrasana. And then release and come all the way back. Good. Let the block go. Hands onto the floor. Curl the toes under. Lift up into downward dog and walk the dog. One heel up, one heel down. Fingerprints down back of the palm, knuckles down. Don't let your back round. You let your heart settle down, but the upper part of the arms are really strong, and that strength comes from your hands. Fingerprints, palm knuckles. Weightier on the palm knuckles than the fingerprints, but those 2 points. Then release, come all the way onto your knees, and roll back into the extended child and breathe. Taking a nice deep breath. Good. All right. Breathing in and just allowing yourself to feel this moment. Ustrasana opens up the front of our body, which may trigger a little bit more of the nervous system opening. So settle into that opening, settle into the breath. Bring yourself back to center. And then inhale and come all the way back up again. So we're going to do a little experiment here. If you have a block, that's fine. In fact, no, does everyone have a block? Because if you don't have a block, what we're going to do is we're going to use the block as a guide, but we're not going to touch it. But we're going to you're going to put the block on the left side of your mat with your left foot forward, right foot back, and we're in Warrior 2. arch and heel are in alignment so we can get the hips in the right place. You don't want the hip coming forward. You want it back. You want to lift up through the torso, from the hips down to the earth, from the hips up towards the ceiling. And I want you to engage your belly. Bring your hands up just to feel that head and belly connection, because where we're going, it's going to be harder to feel. Taking a nice deep breath. So from here, feel that head and belly. Arms are going to reach out into a full Virasana 2. And you're going to hop forward. So your right foot is hopping. And you're just going to lift up and just reach for the block, holding center. Woo, that's it. Good, and then release it. That's all we're doing. Yeah. So holding that center, you feel your head and your belly working together. Just reaching. Woo, and then coming back. All right, other side. This time it's the right foot going forward, left foot back. Nice deep breath. No two sides are the same. Going to come into a full Virasana 2 to begin with. Just kind of feel the pose. Feel how your center is here. You're going to kind of keep that center even as you hop. And then let your gaze shift, and you're just going to lift your leg up a little bit as you're reaching. So prep for Ardha Chandrasana. Whoops. And then release and come all the way back and shake that out. So it's how do we hold all of that together? How do we actually keep it together? Let's try it this time, but we're going to use the block this time and go to the full Ardha Chandrasana. Left foot forward, right foot back. Breathing in. So we're moving. You're going to bend into the right knee. We're not going to go from warrior 2. We're just going to bend into the knee. Find your hand onto the block. Lift your right leg up. Good. Don't take the right arm up. We're just going to move the right head of the arm up toward the ear and back. Good. And then release. Good. Other side. Block on the right side. Right foot forward, left foot. The block is a little bit to your right of your foot because you're really looking to land with your shoulder right over the block. So taking a nice deep breath in, feeling that inner line, that connection, midline. Bend into the right foot, find the block, find your stability, then lift the left leg up, move the left head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. Good. And then release and come all the way back. Good, and shake that out. So coming all the way onto the floor, moving the block out of the way, finding Baddha Konasana, lifting up, breathing in, exhale forward, and inhale up. Try to see if you can stop yourself from rounding here, keeping the front body open. Connect the tips of the shoulder blade onto the back as you exhale forward and inhale up. Good. Exhale forward and inhale up. Last time. Exhale forward and inhale up. So move both legs straight out into Dandasana, inner spiral. Good. Cross your left over your right as your right hand holds onto the knee. You can bring your foot up only if you can get your left hip down. And you can lift all the way up. You want to lift up through your spine and make sure you have your low back curve. So either way is fine. We're going to lift up through the right hand. So reach that first. Nice deep breath. So find the stretch. Keep the right hip solid onto the floor. So you're going to cross your right hand on the outside of your knee. If this seems too simple to you, you can bend. But let's do this first. Moving the right head of the arm bone up and back. Stay centered and just rotate your torso and rotate the shoulders so that your shoulders are almost across from one another. Don't get your head involved yet. Your head wants too much energy. Get your body in the right position. Then rotate your head halfway than you normally do. Find that place. Think about rotating around the midline. Rotate a little bit more. So I'm actually pressing my foot into my arm into my knee and my knee back to my arm to rotate a little bit more. And breathing in. Taking a nice deep breath. So one of the advantages of opening one part of your body is that other parts of your body open as well. It's not just one part. Release, come all the way back to center. Let both legs go straight out. Inner spiral again. We do that because our lower back gets closed in. And especially at our age, we want our lower back to be really happy. So inner spiral, getting the inner groins down and opening that part of the thigh opens the lower part of the back. And cross your right over your left. Left hand up. So you just kind of get the basic pose of lifting up through the spine. The nice deep breath. Then the left arm is reaching up and crossing over. Right hand goes onto the floor. Now create the rotation. You see that? I'm here and then I'm rotating. This has nothing to do with my head. My head is looking towards the monitor. Breathing in, nice deep breath. I feel like I'm at my edge. Then I'm turning my head, lifting up again and just breathing. And every inhale I'm lifting up. With every exhale I'm rotating. Inhale up and exhale, rotate. So just notice your experience. Notice what is going on. Allow the twist to be in another part of your body, not just your head and your neck. And then release that and come all the way back to center. Good. And as the last pose, I want to move into Upavista Konasana, toes sunny side up. I'm not going to assume that you have a tie, but we're going to do this without a tie. And sometimes that ends up being a little, there's a little bit more of an inner inquiry when we're not struggling with the tie. Hands up again. Head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back. Sits bones right onto the floor as you're exhaling forward. Now just notice your belly needs to move up a little bit towards the spine. Head to hand, hand to head. You can feel how that engages the belly. And then inhale all the way back up again. Exhale and forward fold. And then inhale and come all the way back up. Good. Last time, exhale and forward fold. And inhale all the way back up. So here you're going to rotate your torso so that now it's along the right side of the leg. And you're just going to walk your hands down your leg. Come to an edge, and the edge might be that you're at your feet. But if it's here, it's your edge. Keep the left hip down and extend through the spine. Again, always keeping the front body. Head up, gaze up. Head up, gaze up, Gina. Head up, gaze up, and come forward. Let your front body, especially on your front body, opens into that spring area. And then inhale and come all the way back up through center. And you're going to kind of just wiggle a little bit to get your torso and get your rib cage to go on both sides, lifting up. Then you're rotating. Again, pin your right hip down. Walk your fingers down your leg. Taking a nice deep breath. Good. Now stay with your pose. Stay with your breath. And it might be that you hold on to your toes. Either way, you're going to move the head of the arm bone up toward the ear and back, breathing in. It's about finding a stretch and also creating strength. Inhale and come all the way back up, bring your feet together and find your way into Shavasana. We'll do a short Shavasana today. Breathing in, coming all the way onto the floor. If your windows are open, maybe you're hearing the sound of the birds coming in. Letting your body settle into the mat, settle into the rhythm of the earth. Settle into the stillness of your breath. Western sky, illuminated in the afterglow of the day. In this quiet transition, one can hear your soul whisper love songs and see Venus shining. Allow small movements to come back into your fingers and back into your toes. Let your knees float up into your chest and hug them in, gently rocking from side to side. And then roll to one side as you pause for a moment and breathe into your own inner landscape. And then continuing the side roll by pressing your hand onto the floor, come all the way up into a seated pose with your hands at Anjali Mudra at your heart center. And together we will do one Om. So take a breath in. May we have peace in our heart and peace in our mind and true and everlasting peace and healing on this planet. Namaste.